Stanislav, you promised to give us the update what happened at the recent AILA conference in Chicago, and you wanted to make a video to make those points. Yes, my dear friends, of course, I want to make a video to tell you all the updates and fresh news from the recent conference, and this video is going to be about this. And also, at the end of this video, you will be able to learn how to get a free evaluation on those visas that I specialize in. Let's go! Hello, my dear friends. I'm Stanislav Shamayev, a licensed business immigration and corporate attorney in Miami, Florida. Today, I'm going to bring you the main points that happened at the AILA conference that occurred in Chicago in 2024. And I'm not going to make a priority topics. I'm just going to kind of ramble and let you know what I think is really important for you to know. First, there will be no serious movement with visa bulletin. That's not exactly what the USCIS officials said at the conference, but that's what I want to infer from what they said. And that's coming from the shortage of the staff that's happening in USCIS at this point. As we speak, they are short on 21% of the total people working in the agency. Guys, I don't know about you, but if my company was short 21%, we would go bankrupt, okay? There's no way you can perfectly or even fairly do your work if you're short on this number of people, right? This is just impossible. But because this is a government agency that doesn't really care about you, in this formula, only me and my team and everybody who's working on my project, we do care about your cases, about your future. Those guys, they do not. They don't give a crap. And that's why they have a shortage in people. And of course, there's a positive moment because last year they were like 29% short of the total amount. So they shrinked the shortage by what, like 8%. I don't believe this agency will be able to function properly unless an artificial intelligence is going to take over, okay? Because the people who control the organization, you know, they lack the qualifications. Again, we still have to work what we have, and you know, I'm half joking saying those things, but this is the reality, right? The US is the best country, but even here we have problems on different levels of the governance. Number two, also coming from the USCIS, they are pushing the agenda to become fully digitalized. Guys, I cannot wait for them to go fully digital. I don't understand what is the problem here. They already put their foot in the door of digital world because the extension of status, certain other immigration petitions already have the capability of being filed online. Why don't you do this with the rest? That's going to save a lot of time for everybody, a lot of money, because you don't have to send those big packages to the USCIS. And also, we would make things faster because once you submit something online, you immediately get the receipt number. Guys, I cannot explain enough so you understand how much resources and how painful that is to try to get a copy of something, or the original something that was lost in the mail or somewhere, okay? It's just a disaster. You could waste easily 2-3 months of a client's time for no reason whatsoever. Because USCIS cannot send a fax, they cannot send an email, they can send only a shipment by mail, which again could be lost, and while you're making those requests, you need to take a pause and find it. It's a nightmare. I'm kind of glad, I'm excited about the fact that they're going to do this, but I'm taking this with a grain of salt because this resource, this function, this part of the agency work is going to take a lot of time for the same reason. Lack of personnel, lack of qualifications, and of course, because it's a government, all right? So, Stanislav, when do you think they're going to go fully digital? Look, if it's 2026, I'll be surprised, okay? Maybe it's later. But again, you know, we're putting the hopes. Sometimes we get good surprises, and that's what's going on. Further, EB5. I know that a lot of you don't care about EB5, but this is a good example, and this is a good thing to know what exactly the USCIS and the US government need. Okay, they need the money, they need the jobs, and EB5 is that large investment program where you invest either $800,000 in a passive investment or $1 million and $50,000 in the active investment in your own business, right? So those investments used to take up to 4 years to get a resolution, to get the adjudication. Now, if it's done right, and if you work with me, it's going to be done right, you will be getting approval within 3 to 9 months. We have the proof of some petitions being approved within a month. Okay, so there is a huge movement in this program alone, which is really good for me because I'm doing those visas. I don't do them a lot, I do a couple of them a month, but still it's good to see that the investments that are large in nature are still getting a little more attention than everybody else, because, you know, this is a lot of money. Even $800,000 is a lot of money. So we want to make sure that those cases get the priority, and finally we are at this point where USCIS is actually doing this. EB2 IW. And this one does not get a lot of good news. The news that I'm going to share with you are mostly coming from the attorneys practicing in this area. And we hear a lot of complaints. It used to be so much easier to get this visa approved. Nowadays, it's a nightmare. It looks like the USCIS increased the burden of evidence that needs to be provided from you in order to prove your case, which means that the approval rate in the industry is going down, and it's going down significantly. And if you guys ask me, what's the bottom line reason for this? I do believe these are the failed policies of the current presidential administration, because they opened up the floodgate to get a lot of illegal immigrants in the US, and that's why they need to be more strict on the legal immigration, because they got a lot of people inside, right? Now they need to kind of stop this and balance out the system. And you say, like, Stanislav, what's the difference? We have legal immigration, illegal. Those two things don't cross. I do think they affect each other. And of course, when there is a huge movement against that illegal immigration, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between legal and illegal, right? They say, oh, immigrants, and they think that everybody who come here, they should be punished, right? So again, everybody thinks that Democrats, they are pro-immigrants, but if you go deep and you analyze what's happening, that's not the conclusion you want to make. EB2 IW getting much tougher, much harder to get, but guys, there's nothing new here, okay? If you watch me from time to time for the past couple of years, I'm trying to give you this message, to send you this message, that it never gets easier. Okay, it always gets only harder. And even with EB5, the prior news that I mentioned, there are some good movements, some good fresh air coming in. Still, the content of the petition is much more difficult to create up to the requirements of the USCIS each following year. Regardless which program you're choosing, do not postpone, okay? Do not think, okay, let me try one more year of the lottery, let me try to participate in H-1B lottery, let me try to find another job. You'll never do this like this, okay? You'll do it only when you start doing it, all right? Sometimes, you know, I'm thinking of it like if you jump jump down from the cliff without knowing what's below, right? How deep is the water? That's kind of the way it is. However, if you have good people, good team, professional team, trained team, great attorneys, or great processes, guidance that would lead you through the process, that's going to be much easier, okay? Then you jumping off the cliff still, but you have people swimming down there waiting for you to get in the water, all right? That's how I see it. And by the way, we're still getting approved more than 90% of our EB2 IWs. Stanislav, don't you get the RFEs, sometimes denials? There's no attorney in the world, and if somebody says that they never get a denial, run, okay? Run. It's impossible because those cases are so subjective. So we do sometimes get the denials, we get RFEs, but what we do differently is that when we get a denial or RFE, we see what they didn't like. Take that and implement that in all other current and the future cases. Okay, that's our response. We cannot control how USCIS is going to look at this criteria tomorrow. We're not going to know what kind of requirements or inner policies they're going to issue tomorrow. What we can control is our response to those acts. And that's how we do it. That's how we change our processes to be on the top of the game. And last but not least, EB1A, the talent visa, and also the O1. So in O1, we hear a lot of complaints that it's much harder now to get the visa stamped in the embassy for this visa. So imagine you went through the whole process, you got your visa approved, then you go to the embassy and they deny it. This is a disaster, guys. I mean, look, sometimes I think they have no mercy, right? And sometimes they deliver the denials to people who really deserve to come to the States and do good things to this country. So sometimes I get a little bit upset about that, but you can do nothing about it because on the embassy level, you have no appeal process. O1As, they have their own problems, and EB1As is the only visa, I would think, that doesn't really change much for the past years. There are some additions, some important additions that happened in August 2023, about a year ago, which we successfully implemented and used them for your cases to get you approved. But a lot of attorneys complain that those cases are becoming bigger and bigger, and for me it's never been a complaint. For me it was always a response to whatever USCIS wants to do. I remember 5-7 years ago, my cases were about 500 pages for EB1A, right? Which I thought at the time was like, oh my God, so many trees go just poof, out of the window. Now, the average case is probably 1,200 pages, 2.5 times more than 500. Some cases, 1,500 to 1,000 pages, right? So those babies are heavy and they're big, all right? And of course, regardless of what I think, if it's a lot, not a lot, we do what we have to do. All right, guys, now, Stanislav, how to get a free evaluation? You mentioned it in the beginning of the video. That's very easy, guys. That's the easiest part. You go down below this video, you find the link to all the visas that I mentioned. And those are H1B, EB5, EB2 IW, O1A, EB1A, right? For each of those, there is a link. You click on it. You fill out the form, then I give you the initial analysis within 2 days, and if I see the potential in your case, then I will invite you to the complex immigration planning so you could get the written winning strategy for your case. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, press the bell button, make sure you comment, you ask me questions. Also, I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I have TikTok. All the links are below this video. I'm Stanislav Shamayev, a lawyer of the future. Your future begins here. Good luck.